Hi everybody, this is Brad from Brad Psychiatry, and today I'm going to do a review of the website and service called ZocDoc. I use ZocDoc for about a year and a half. I'm going to tell you why I joined ZocDoc, the benefits that I got from them, and why I eventually got my divorce from ZocDoc. When I opened my own practice, one of the first things I realized was that I needed to start bringing more patients in the door. We only get paid if we're seeing patients, and I also like seeing patients, so there's a win-win there. I tried various marketing methods, and none of them were really as successful as when one of my friends told me about ZocDoc. She told me how she was paying around $70 a patient for a referral from ZocDoc, then you wouldn't pay anything going forward, and that seemed like a pretty good deal to me. So I gave them a try. My first year with ZocDoc was a big win. I felt like whenever I had openings in my schedule and I put them on the ZocDoc calendar, they pretty much would fill them up with patients, to the point where I didn't put all of my openings on the calendar because I didn't feel like I was prepared to take as many patients as ZocDoc could give me. I did notice that most of the patients were Medicaid. I got very few private pay or private insurance patients, but that was okay. Medicaid patients are good patients as well, and I was very happy with the service that ZocDoc was giving me for quite a few months. Around November of 2024, I got a phone call from a salesperson at ZocDoc. They wanted me to sign up for a new service that they were providing. The service was that instead of just paying the $70 for a referral fee for patients from ZocDoc, I could bid, and if I bid on top of the $70, I could get higher placement and potentially receive more referrals. At the time, I sort of laughed since, as I said earlier, almost any time I had an opening, ZocDoc filled it with a patient. So I told her I had no reason to do this. And when I asked approximately how much I would need to bid in order to be effective, she said that the average was between $40 and $60 extra per patient in order to be successful in this bidding process. Once again, I said, I'm not really interested in that. I'm already getting all of my patient slots filled when I have one, so I don't feel like I need this service at this time. Around February of 2025 is when I noticed things start to drop off. Nothing had changed in my practice, nothing had changed on my ZocDoc homepage, and my reviews were 100% 5-star reviews on ZocDoc. I had no reviews that weren't 5-star. And that didn't change at any point. That said, the number of openings that I had started to become unfilled. And I noticed that ZocDoc just wasn't filling me up the way they used to. Another issue that I started to have in the spring of 2025 was that I was having more patients who failed to communicate with me after booking with me. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but the way ZocDoc works is they charge you $70 and you have 24 hours to cancel the appointment. And if you don't cancel within the first 24 hours, they charge you the $70 anyway. And just a disclaimer, that price has gone up since then. It may be around 75 or 80 now, I'm not sure. That said, I had more patients who I would reach out to within an hour of them booking, and I would never hear from them. In many cases, they also had the wrong insurance. And I want to just briefly say, ZocDoc does allow you to put what insurances you accept, including in Colorado, there are various Medicaid regions, and I accept all but one. And ZocDoc allowed me to have that in their platform as well. I did find that over time, more people were booking with me who either said they had Medicaid and didn't have Medicaid, or had the one region that I didn't accept and still managed to book with me anyway. Around June of 2025 was when I got my first suspension from ZocDoc. I had canceled 5 or 6 patient appointments within 24 hours during that month, and ZocDoc deemed that that was excessive or higher than the average, and so they told me that I was suspended for a week. I went through the different patients that I had canceled. ZocDoc was kind enough to give me a list of the patients that I was at fault for canceling too early. All of them had been patients that I had reached out to, mostly within an hour of them booking, and never heard from again. ZocDoc, I put in an appeal, and the appeals department at ZocDoc told me that there was no appealing this, and unless there was a mistake, which there wasn't, that was on me, and the suspension would go through. On October 2nd of 2025 is when I received my second violation due to too many cancellations. The email that I received said I had in excess of 3 cancellations or no-shows compared to expected volumes. Again, they gave me a list of patients that had canceled or no-showed. In most cases, I had been the one to cancel. In one case, the patient canceled. I made a spreadsheet and appealed the decision. There were 7 patients. All of them were Medicaid patients. That was all I was receiving from ZocDoc at that point. And I'll go through them briefly. The first one had stated on the website that they had Medicaid, but it was the one Medicaid region, I don't want to say it out loud, but the one Medicaid region that I do not accept. The second patient, again, their Medicaid was inactive when I checked their Medicaid. The third patient actually canceled. I didn't have a good reason. They never contacted me. They just canceled the appointment. The fourth patient, their Medicaid was again inactive. The fifth patient also had the region of Medicaid that I don't accept. I did get a hold of that patient. It was very funny. And she told me, I told her that I don't accept that Medicaid, and she told me, yeah, I saw that when I booked. So she said, I wasn't able to book with you, so I changed my Medicaid to one of the other regions on ZocDoc, and then I was able to book with you. And I said, well, unfortunately, that won't allow me to get paid, as I'm out of network with the region that you are now saying that you have, even though she didn't have it. The last two, again, their Medicaids were just inactive. So when these patients book, one of the first things that I do is go onto the Medicaid website and verify that they actually have Medicaid. And if they don't, most patients who have Medicaid are expecting to see me for free. And when they find out that they don't have Medicaid, they're very happy to cancel the appointment, since they are not interested in paying hundreds of dollars for an intake appointment. In my appeal to ZocDoc, one of the things that I mentioned was the fact that I'm just as frustrated as they are having to cancel appointments with new patients. I would love to see these patients and get paid for the appointment. Not only that, when a patient books with me and I have to track down their insurance, contact the patient, and then cancel the appointment because they have the wrong insurance and are unwilling to pay out of pocket, that takes me a long time, and I get paid for none of it. Not only that, then ZocDoc is frustrated with me that I'm not going to pay them $70 for the privilege of doing all of that work for nothing. I put all that into my appeal email, and the response that I got, which I'll read to you now, was, the violation is upheld. We understand your explanation, and you did not demonstrate that the original violation was issued in error. And they said that the community standards for doctors on ZocDoc is to make every effort to honor and uphold ZocDoc's users' scheduled appointment times and prevent cancellation or rescheduling. All of that was added to my appeal letter, And the response that I got from ZocDoc was that my 2-week suspension was upheld. They mentioned that while we have reviewed and understand your explanation stating the cancellations were due to patient insurance issues, the appeal did not demonstrate that the original violation was in error. They next said, why was it denied? Our review process confirmed that the violation aligns with ZocDoc's community standards, including the policy, make every effort to honor and uphold ZocDoc users' scheduled appointment times, and prevent canceling or rescheduling. Based on these guidelines, we cannot overturn this violation. In the end, the reason I got a divorce from ZocDoc was multifactorial. The first reason was the increased cost of acquiring patients. ZocDoc had increased their base price and implemented the bidding system, which in my view led me to have to bid $40, even $50 on top of the base price of $70 in order to acquire these Medicaid patients. The second factor was the increased percentage of non-materializing patients. That is, the month that I was suspended, every single one of the patients who booked with me, which was 7, was never seen. All of them had the incorrect insurance or never responded, and if you recall, 1 patient canceled. Finally, ZocDoc's unwillingness to listen to what I considered a reasonable excuse for canceling patients, like they have connected me with a patient who doesn't have an insurance that I accept. To me, that is a blatant failure on their part to hold up their end of the bargain. Their job is to connect me with a patient who wants to see me for the service that I provide and has the insurance that they say they have, or a patient who is willing to pay cash for my services. And my cash rates were also published on ZocDoc. Hey, if you stuck around this long, I just want to say thanks for sticking around, and look out for more videos from me at Brad Psychiatry.